balance which the Constitution seeks to maintain. We have witnessed moments where executive impatience threatened legislative independence, where legislative actions tested executive restraint, and where judicial pronouncements were interpreted through partisan lenses rather than constitutional clarity. Yet, despite these challenges, progress has been made. The judiciary continues to stand at its last hope, as the last hope of the common man. The executive continues to pursue national development, and the National Assembly continues to make laws, approve budgets, and conduct oversight with increasing maturity. But we can do better. Indeed, we must do better. To learn best practices, we look to democracies with longer institutional experience. The United States, the United Kingdom, and Germany offer instructive examples. These nations have endured conflict between their branches, but those conflicts strengthened rather than weakened the institutions. Their disagreements were conflicts of perspective, not conflicts of purpose, different interpretations, not dwelling ambitions. Indeed, conflict rarely arises where all arms of government are guided by shared values and united in service to the people. The judiciary is the safeguard of our liberties, as Chief Justice William Howard said, and our property under the Constitution. What is common across these democracies is simple: mutual respect, mutual restraint, and mutual responsibility. These virtues do not weaken democracy, they keep it alive. Under the Nigerian Constitution, the National Assembly bears three critical responsibilities: legislation, oversight, representation. But beyond this, it carries a stabilizing obligation to build bridges among the arms of government. We are not merely lawmakers, we are mediating fulcrum between the executive's urgency and the judiciary's finality. It falls to us to ensure that the architecture of governance remains balanced. Our role is not merely to pass laws, but to ensure that they are crafted in consultation with the executive, interpreted with constitutional boundaries, within constitutional boundaries, and implemented in the spirit of justice. Our role is not merely to conduct oversight, but to ensure that oversight does not become overreaching and that cooperation does not become capitulation. Our role is not merely to represent, but to protect the institutional equilibrium that safeguards the people's rights. In this context, coordination is not weakness, it is constitutional wisdom. Today, Nigeria requires a high sense of constitutional maturity among all arms of government. We must embrace structured engagement, not spontaneous confrontation. Institutional dialogue, not institutional rivalry. Cooperation without compromise, and independence without isolation. Professor Ben Nwambweze, one of Africa's greatest constitutional scholars, once wrote, and I quote, "The effectiveness of constitutional government depends not merely on the written document, but on the disposition of those who operate it. Each arm of government is strongest when the others are strong." As a nation, we must commit to regular inter-arm consultation, strengthen judicial independence, improve legislative drafting with early judicial input, respect for oversight and accountability, public education on constitutional governance, and a culture of mutual respect. These are the pillars upon which a stable democracy is rooted. Your Lordships, the task before us is nothing less than the perfection of our democracy. Our duty is to ensure that the flame of constitutional governance, lit by the sacrifice of our founding fathers, do not flicker, does not dim, and does not die. If the legislator crafts wise laws, if the executive implements them with integrity, and if the judiciary interprets them with courage, then Nigeria will rise stronger, fairer, and more united. The separation of powers is not a wall of division. It is a bridge to stability. It is the architecture of peace. It is the guardian of liberty. It is the foundation upon which great nations are built. In concluding, let us again ask, what must be done to build coordination among the three arms of government? Coordination begins with a shared understanding that separation of powers is not separation of purpose. Each arm must recognize its constitutional boundaries while appreciating its interdependence with the others. The National Assembly plays a pivotal role by ensuring that laws are crafted with clarity, foreseeability, and institutional consultation. When legislative proposals incorporate the perspectives of the judiciary on interpretation and the executive on implementation, the constitutional design functions as intended, distinct powers working towards common national goals. Secondly, the National Assembly strengthens coordination through structured, institutionalized engagement rather than ad hoc reaction. Regular consultative forums between the leadership of the legislature, executive, and judiciary allow potential conflicts to be anticipated, clarified, and resolved before they escalate into constitutional crisis. Such platforms do not violate separation of powers. They operationalize it by ensuring that each arm of government performs its duties without misunderstanding the motives or mandates of the others. Through joint technical committees, legislative judicial dialogues, and pre-budget consultations with the executive, the National Assembly becomes the stabilizing center of inter-arm relations. Finally, coordination is built through mutual respect, constitutional restraint, and transparent accountability. When the National Assembly conducts oversight without weaponizing it, when the executive implements laws without overreach, and when the judiciary interprets laws with activism, trust deepens across institutions. Legislation reinforces this trust by upholding judicial independence, respecting executive prerogatives, and maintaining its own integrity in lawmaking. In doing so, it becomes the bridge that harmonizes urgency with legality and ambition with constitutionality, allowing the machinery of governance to function as a coherent system rather than competing fragments. And so, your lordships, let us march forward with the quiet steel of men and women who know that the fate of a nation rests not in the clash of its institutions, but in their concord. Let us stand as the framers of the Constitution intended, not as rivals grasping for power, but as sentinels guarding the frontiers of liberty. For if we falter, chaos will rush in. And if we stand as one, legislature, executive, and judiciary, then no force on earth can shake the pillars of this republic. Let us therefore resolve that Nigeria shall not be undone by division, nor weakened by suspicion, nor crippled by institutional strife. Let it be said to us that in the hour of any constitutional testing, we did not shrink, we did not quarrel, we did not fail. We stood shoulder to shoulder, guidance of the nation's future. Let us lift our eyes from the dust of the moment to the horizon of destiny. Let us pledge that the flame of democracy entrusted to our care shall burn brighter, steadier, and stronger with each passing year. And if posterity should ask us what manner of men and women sat in these chambers today, let the answer be, they were faithful to the Constitution, they were steadfast in purpose, and they strengthened the foundations of a great nation. I thank the National Judicial Institute for the honor of this invitation. I thank your lordships for your tiredness and majestic service. And I reaffirm with full solemnity that the commitment of the National Assembly to work in harmony with all arms of government for the progress and glory of our beloved country. May God bless you all, my lordships. May God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, distinguished Senator, for that well-delivered paper and for educating us and also clarifying what actually is meant by the separation of powers, how we should see it as a collaborative effort and not one arm of government in competition with the other. And I can confirm that there have been a lot of consultations between members of the National Assembly, the various committees on constitutional reform, and the judiciary through the NJC. So it's actually speaking to what they are actually practicing. And I believe it's very commendable. Thank you very much. Now, as I stated earlier, a lot of our speakers, for one reason or the other, are no longer with us, but I have taken the liberty to request from our former Chief Justice of Nigeria, Honorable Justice Onogen, to kindly lend his voice to this discourse He has worn the shoes that I am now trying to wear. And I believe that we can all gain from his wealth of experience. I also am sure I have a lot to gain. And I want to thank his lordship because I just whispered to him. It's not something he came prepared to do. So please first give a round of applause before he even starts. Thank you. No, you can stay here, your lordship.
Thank you very much, my Lord, the CJN. The Chairman, Education Committee of NJI, Justices of the Supreme Court, Court of Appeal, my lords of various jurisdictions, good to see you again. We thank God for the day. The topic is managing the separation of powers under the Constitution, building coordination between the three arms of government. Ours is a constitutional democracy. All principles we need to make this country move forward and be fair and just to one another are stated in the Constitution. Though we've been amending, re-amending that very Constitution without giving the judiciary the opportunity to interpret what had originally been envisaged and put down in the Constitution. So that it appears we are having everything, we think everything now must be stated in black and white in the Constitution, which is an exercise in futility. You can't have it all there. What is left is for us to interpret what has been written down. But if we believe this is the way forward, no problem. But we understand what the principles of separation of powers means. And we also understand that the government cannot succeed without the three arms of government cooperating. Of the three arms of government, from my experience as a former judicial officer, the judiciary is the most conservative. Don't forget that. There are things we cannot do. There are things we do with gladness. The most important thing we cherish is our independence. Independence of thought, of action, the right to decide on any matter before us without any interference. When given opportunity to offer some opinions by the executive at that level, the judiciary had never been found wanting. We've been cooperating, and I know you will continue to cooperate. At the same time, preserve your independence, because that is the key to you functioning and remaining the last hope of the common man. Know that the common man is the purpose of the three arms of government. We all jointly serve the common man. So that is why we exist. We shouldn't forget that. In every situation we find ourselves, in every situation you have to decide, please have that always in mind, and God will see you through. I said there are instances. There was a time we had problems in Gambia. The president ran an election, he lost. He agreed he has lost. He turned around and said, no, I'm not going. We have to go to the tribunal. There it is the Supreme Court that has to decide. But unfortunately at that time, I had just left the Gambian Supreme Court bench. So there was a vacancy. They couldn't constitute that panel. Of course, the executive reached out and we were able to solve the problem, and which has earned them an independent judiciary grown by the Republic of Gambia as at now. So there are these instances that happen in my time. And you will believe that, you will know that I was asking my God, why should I be Chief Justice of Nigeria at this time? But God is God. He knows why. And if given the chance, we will always have Nigeria at heart. We, I mean the judiciary, will always have Nigeria at heart because our integrity happens to be our legacy. There is nothing else we can leave behind other than our legacy, our integrity. So please, whatever people are thinking or saying, stick to that. Know that without you as an arm of government, Nigeria is incomplete. It can't work. It is not designed to work that way. The three arms of government must cooperate and realize that the foundation for the success of any democracy, particularly the Nigerian brand of democracy, lies on the rule of law. Without adherence to the rule of law, there will be no respect by the three arms of government. If we function, that is the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary, both all function under the rule of law, have that respect for one another based on the rule of law, based on the powers assigned to each and every one of us, this country will be a heaven. If we don't do that, then we will continue to be talking about and be suspicious of each other. That is the three arms of government. But let us know that our employer is the common man. Let us know that we also function for the common man. Let us not forget that, because they constitute the majority. It is not only the legislature, the judiciary, and the executive that we have to dispense justice for. Our justice mainly lies in the common man and how he perceives us. Certain excesses should be checked. There are some things that tend to portray the country as moving towards, should I say, totalitarian or dictatorship, kind of. The legislature has the absolute power to make laws, but we wrote it in the Constitution that the president has the power to issue executive orders. That is a source of conflict if you don't know how to manage it and manage it well. That is a usurpation of the power of the National Assembly, depending on how it is used. Our past experience had indicated that that power has to be exercised with maximum caution, so as not to draw us back to the eras we had just left behind. Yes, there is cooperation by the legislature with the judiciary. I thank God for that, because in my time, efforts were made to work hand in hand with the National Assembly in these areas. But we didn't have that kind of cooperation. There were instances in which the Supreme Court wrote in our judgments, some of them concerning election matters, pointing out the direction that the nation should move in the political arena. You know, we cannot be heard nor participate in anything like that. Even when you say, come for, what do they call it? Public hearing and things like that. You won't find any judicial officer participating in it. And it is not proper for them to be there. Areas where they have stated certain concerns in their judgments is for the National Assembly to go through these judgments and bring out these areas. The consultation with NJC, that is the chairman of the National Judicial Council, should be for any further clarifications on these matters. But a situation in where you stay, you suddenly have a bill that has been passed concerning the judiciary. Sometimes the NJC will write expressing their concerns, but those writings are not taken into account in the amendments that come out after. It becomes worrisome. Very, very worrisome. See, but if now it has improved, thank God. There was a time that the Assembly passed a bill sent to Mr. President at the time. Then he sent it to the CJN and the Attorney General for their comments as to whether or not you should sign. I had about 2 such instances. I was privileged to do that. Going through it, one of them, I advise Mr. President not to sign because it affected the judiciary and it had been against what the judiciary stood for and had been advocating. So he now asks that the Attorney General and myself should liaise with the National Assembly on the matter. I went to the Senate for the joint committee meeting. I went. I didn't send a representative because I wanted to let them hear from me, and there will be no misquoting of your representative. So I went, but there were publications subsequently. Why I should leave my exalted office and go to the Senate committee and things like that. But the opportunity was given. And I say I appreciate such efforts. May it not be left behind. We need more cooperation in such instances with the judiciary, the CJN in particular, because it's not palatable for acts of the National Assembly concerning the judiciary to be passed without any input by the judiciary. That is no act of cooperation. It isn't. So let us all be guided by the rule of law and do our very best in the interest of the common man. And the rest, I believe, shall be good. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, my Lord, the former Chief Justice of Nigeria, for sharing your wealth of experience with us. Very impromptu, but you have shown us the stuff that your Lordship is made of, which we already know. Yes, thank you very much. We really appreciate. And yes, I have commended the legislature for conferring with us, but I would say the taste of the pudding is in the eating. We have shared many ideas, we have shared many positions with them. It is now to see what comes out at the end of the day. We have had the consultation quite all right. And I will share one of them just for you to know the way our minds are working, and it has to do with pre-election matters. And we have had various engagements with them, and we have advised that pre-election matters should be non-justiciable. They should be dealt with at the party level. Thank you. We have suggested that within the party, they should have a structure, perhaps an elders committee, so that if it has gone through the lower rungs of the party, whatever the elders say at the end of the day, everybody has to agree with it. And thank you. And my argument to them is that there is freedom of association. Now, if you are in an association and you are not comfortable with the way it is being run, you have the option to go elsewhere. And thank you. My further belief is that if the party you belong to feels that you are somebody who is, because of your stature, is likely to garner votes for them and is very important to them, they will not want you to go to another party, which will force them to practice internal democracy. They have not been very comfortable with that suggestion. And so that's why I say the taste of the pudding is in the eating, but we have made it at every possible opportunity. And I have done it even where I have met members of the House or senators at other engagements. I corner one or two of them and I say, look, this is our position, because this is one of the challenges we are facing in the judiciary. We are becoming overwhelmed by these matters. We are not able to do other cases. Whenever these matters come up, we have to put everything else aside. And these other matters are just as important. As we have been told here, our main constituency is the common man. And their cases are being put aside to deal with these ones. If at least we could have pre-election matters being non-justiciable, we know where we will start from. So this is one of them that your lordship should look out for and see if we are successful at the end of the day. But I want to thank the President of the Court of Appeal, the Chairman of the Senate Committee of the Judiciary, and my Lord for really giving us some elucidation on this. As judicial officers, we know what the essence of separation of powers is, but forums like this allow us to be reminded of what it's all about and what our role is. And the most important thing is that we must be guided by the Constitution, and we should not be persuaded by whatever pressure to go outside what is provided in the Constitution. And I always believe that where we face pressure, your armor is the law that guides you. And if you are able to point out to whoever it is, this is what the law provides. It is not possible to do this or this. Whether they accept or not, they can see that you are standing firmly on the law. And that is very important for us. We have a few minutes for comments, questions, or opinions. I won't take too many because I want us to round up at 3 o'clock. Today is just to set the ball rolling. From tomorrow, we will have time to have a more in-depth interaction. And kindly state your name, your jurisdiction, and go straight to the point, please. We have already appreciated the speakers, so there's no need for anybody to do that. Thank you. Yes, please. Any question, any comments? Yes, please. I can't, oh, yes, please.
Thank you very much, my Lord, the Honorable the Chair. My name is Billy Peters. I'm from the NICM bench. I have a question and one or two comments. And my comment and question really is directed to the representative of the President of the Bar. If the bench is going to have confidence to be able to do its work, I believe very strongly that it must start from the members of the bar. The bar and the bench, we are under the same umbrella. Destroy the house, destroy the umbrella, all of us will collapse. Now, in the time past, the moment a matter is pending in the court, you don't hear it discussed at all. And that, of course, gives the man, the judge, the magistrate, whoever you are, the confidence and the ability to focus on his work and to do it to the best of his ability. But what do we find these days? Even a senior advocate, a matter is pending in court, they just leave the court with the wig and gown on them. They begin to address the press, telling that, saying, oh, the judge does not address a particular section of the Constitution and all that. Or in fact, we are going to appeal. Now, what kind of impression is being given to the litigants who perhaps does not know the law?
I think we get the gist. Because of time.
All right, thank you very much.
Sorry to cut you.
Thank you very much.
I think we get the gist of the question.
Thank you, my Lord.
So, representative of the President of the Assembly, please keep it in your pockets. Let's look for another contribution or question, and then we'll take everything together. Any other comment, contribution, or question? All right, I think we've had a long day. So I will allow the representative of the President of the NBA to respond. Thank you.
Thank you, my Lord, for the opportunity to respond to my Lord's concern. Of course, the concern raised by my Lord is quite disturbing, that when matters are pending before the courts, you will see some of our members addressing press. And I must state that we do respect my Lord. These are becoming incidences in the past. Because of course, because of how disturbing the trend has become, the leadership of the Nigerian Bar Association has put in place disciplinary mechanism. Of course, we have not only advised, but in fact warned our members that any of our members, any lawyer whose matter is pending before the courts is seen addressing press in any manner will be subjected to disciplinary measures. And of course, my Lord will notice that the trend has not actually been seen as used to be rampant in the past. It's because of the fact that maybe without your lordships being aware of it, we are taking control of the development. Thank you, my Lord.
Thank you very much. My lords, I want to thank each and every one of you, not only for being attentive throughout the program, but for coming very early this morning. I know that there were a lot of security measures in place because of our august visitor, and I thank you for the cooperation. I also want to say on a lighter note that this is probably the fullest I've seen this auditorium. Now, I say on a lighter note because perhaps in the past I was sitting there and looking this way, so I didn't see. But what I can see now is encouraging. And I want us to maintain this throughout the conference. This week is a week set aside for this conference. There's no other business. There's no other activity. And let us show the judicial officers that we are by being disciplined and time conscious. So with all that said, it is my pleasure to bring this first session of our conference to a close, to wish your lordships a restful evening. Thank you very much. Yes, housekeeping. Yes, my lord. Yes.
Another round of applause to His Lordship. My Lord, the Honorable Chief Justice of Nigeria, we are indeed glad and very much obliged for your presence. I want to thank my Lord Honorable Justice W.S.N. Onogen, former Chief Justice of Nigeria, and a round of applause to His Lordship. I'm sure many of us are not aware, my Lord is an associate professor of the University of Pretoria, South Africa. He has been called several times to go there, sit with them at least 3 times every quarter of the year, to sit with them, to advise them, and to work with them. That I know very much, my Lord. My Lord, we're indeed glad, and we thank you so much. We want to thank my Lord Josiny Okoro, who has been here supportive to ensure that the programs which they drop is run properly. We want to thank the President of the Court of Appeal, the entire team on the high table. We want to thank you for making up time to be here with us. And for continuation of the housekeeping announcement for tomorrow, my Lord, we'll be starting with session 2. And if it pleases your Lordship, we want to start at the hour of 9 o'clock a.m. So that we're able to finish with the activities for tomorrow, because we have 3 sessions for tomorrow, and the sessions will include briefings from various sectors and individuals in respect of the work that is done, and also part of the reporting from the communique that was passed at the last conference in 2023. The conference mandated us to get updates and feedback on the points that were raised and given to each institution to work on. And so there's need to provide clarity as to the statuses of briefings as to what had taken place since then in the last 2 years. So that is how that will go. And so, my Lord, we have successfully come to the end of the activities of today. It has been interesting. And all the speeches will be handed over to the committee of rapporteurs who will look into it to begin to draw up the agenda of reports and communicate drafting. Thank you so much, my Lord. We will now retire to have our refreshments at the same venues that we had. And then we'll come back again tomorrow, like I said. But there are some missing items. There are some goggles here. We found them at the cafeteria. There's a bangle as well. And there's a bag that has been replaced with monies in it and the phone. So if it belongs to you and any of us have it, please, we need to return it so that we can return it to the rightful owners. There are also some missing bags, misplaced bags that are with us, with the ushers. So if they're yours, you do well to meet with us to give. And also, if my Lord, the Chief Justice will permit us, at the last Heads of Courts conference, including the activity we had with the EFCC, this wristwatch was left behind. So if it is yours, if you were there and you missed a wristwatch, you let us know so we can hand it over to you. That will be all for now. Well, thank you so much, my Lord. The session for today are closed. Thank you. And my Lord, the group, the high table will turn at least for a group photograph session, please. Yes. Thank you.